Luis. I'm here with your latest assignment submission. Um, and hey, yeah, again, I feel like you're looking really strong with this stuff, and you're in a good place. And there's so much great work in here um, that if I give you a few notes, I don't want it to diminish what a great job I think you're doing with this, especially in this little part where he's kind of doing the little dance move, tap dance, dodging the knives, stabbing his feet, whatever. That part I think is like super strong. Um, but yeah, I think I only have like three real things to kind of talk about. And the first is on this jump up here. It looks like the actor's kind of like sliding up to the box and then planting and jumping up. And all that's like great, you know. But I think when I watch it in this view, maybe there's like little ways we can plus it or like simplify it a little bit. And mostly my eye is drawn to the screen left foot in this view. Like maybe um maybe you're gonna maybe that's not really gonna be visible. Well, it'll be visible sort of. I mean, here it's behind these egg crates, right? But if this is your shot camera, maybe we're gonna at least be able to get an impression of it. So anyways, the thoughts I had, and these are just thoughts, but I keep doing the wrong buttons. Sorry. Let me get here. So the thoughts I had on the run up here is maybe like this foot adjust on the screen left leg isn't entirely necessary. I know that's what's in the reference, but maybe it'd be cooler. Maybe. These are all me just spitballing ideas, so take them or leave them. I won't be... Obviously, there's some twisting going on here. That may be something for the Euler filter, where it's interpolating through rotations of your foot. But maybe this leg here, there's a way to get it where it's a little more back. If you stick with that like earlier foot position, I don't know. Maybe that would be stronger. I don't know. But this little jump up here, it's feeling maybe a little easy, a little like I'm not. Again, it's not a huge big deal because it's happening fast, and I know you're still like working on all of this stuff. But that's just something to like think about and make sure you put the proper amount of tension into this jump up. They switched around the interface on this thing between the last time I was here doing Sync Sketch. I guess that would be last week. So I'm feeling a little clunky, so sorry about that. The other thing I'm concerned about is through this part. I mean, this is such a strong pose. I don't want you to mess with it at all. But during this part where he's doing all this feet crossing, the thing I feel is how the torso stays kind of aligned. Maybe I spoke to this last time. This feels a little familiar to me, but maybe not. So I want to see some like twists happening that kind of support the movement of the legs. Even if you don't see that in a reference, it's a good thing to, I think, emphasize and push a little bit. And maybe so this is 100%, maybe this is 100% achievable just with the pelvis control. Get a little rotate Y or whatever it is in there. But I want to see a little like, you know, if the hips rotate this way to see that there's a little twist happening in the spine. Because like the pelvis and the upper shoulders seem kind of perfectly aligned in that rotation throughout the whole piece. Like there's not a lot of twisting happening between the pelvis and the upper torso. I feel like that'll really strengthen it in a lot of the poses. This pose, I wouldn't touch it. I would leave it aligned like you have it. It feels kind of like a good spot to have it. I mean, you could touch it. You could maybe try to get a little bit more of a curve in there to go through here, you know, maybe rotate the pelvis up and around a little bit. But whatever. It's more of a concept that I want to talk about like to make the character feel a little more organic and stuff. It's nice to have like those little twists. Maybe that's something you already know and it's just something you haven't gotten to, which is totally cool. There's like little pull vector things maybe, like try to, so if this is the angle of the toe, and this is kind of the angle of the top of the thigh. Like the knee should kind of be like an average, maybe. It feels like your knee's cranked a little bit too far that way, so maybe pull it back a little bit with that pull vector control. I think it's fine to have the knee be totally in line with the angle of the foot, or it can kind of be an average between the top of the thigh and the angle of the foot. But right now it feels like it's more rotated to the screen right than either of those. But that's a small little quibble. And again, I know that this is a work in progress, so maybe you know half of this stuff. There may be good opportunities in this spin, you know, to like try to get this arm straight and kind of like push that a little bit more. You know, like look for opportunities to like push these poses. Like this might be a good opportunity to get this hand straight with the umbrella. You know, and make it a little more dancer-like. And I'm not saying like this is necessarily the way to go in these opportunities, but it's nice when dancers hit poses, you know, and they hit poses similar to this pose, you know, by creating like strong lines of action, strong kind of like moments. So yeah, it's like maybe like to have the arm bent and stuff on a settle like this is awesome, but maybe when possible on these big turns to try to keep it maybe like, and it's also going to help you with any kind of conflict you're having between, like I see that there's no penetration between the umbrella and the top of the head, but maybe it would be nice to introduce like a little bit of negative space whenever possible. Again, I know this isn't your camera view, but yeah, I don't know. It might, like here maybe you can see that the actor's arm is getting a little straighter. So just look for opportunities to kind of like straighten legs, straighten arms to create some contrast, and it creates a little bit more appeal and interest. You know, little stuff like here, if you can drop this hand down to clear the face, I don't know if that's going to be possible, but and keep kind of like the idea of the motion, like that hand swings over and it kind of goes up, but maybe it could go up like with the hand here, and we keep the arm more down here, and it gives us the same feeling with like a little better pose appeal. That's a possibility. But anyways, these are not, so I said three big things and maybe I just introduced a fourth. So the jump up, the twisting of the torso, looking for opportunities to like straighten limbs. You know, that's what makes this kind of like so successful. Like little pose tweaks here and there, but yeah, here again, even though the actor is like covering their head or face, I'm not sure what the purpose of this arm, the blue arm swing is like this. Is he putting it on the umbrella and like two-handing the umbrella in that moment? It doesn't last for very long if he is. So maybe you could play around with like having this arm be dragging a little bit more. You know, so take the initiative if you can think of a way to kind of design the poses better than how the actor originally acted it out. Okay, and the third thing is that I really feel like during this last spin part here that the character is kind of locked to this angle, and I'm not seeing like a progression, and this angle feels horribly off balance. Like at no point do I feel like they wouldn't be falling over to the left. I think I mentioned that last time and maybe you just didn't get to it, but you may want to like start it a little more in balance, either by rotating the torso over the center of gravity a little bit more, and then having it kind of progress this way, like they're slowly intentionally putting themselves out of balance so that they're gonna like fall over this box. You know what I mean? I'm making up a pose. Feel free to ignore this. But the concept is like almost like they're intentionally pretending to be drunk or something, and then, you know, they're gonna put their butt on this box and do some cool dancery roll over it. I don't know where this goes after this, you know what I mean? But I want to see some kind of progression or them a little bit more in balance for at least a part of this, because they like kind of hit this angle and do this spin at the end, and it feels like it's all kind of living in that same off balance angle, and it's hard for me to, it just doesn't feel as relatable or plausible. But anyways, these are small notes, because overall I feel like you have a really strong start, and everything's progressing really well, really strong stuff. Yeah, just keep an eye on, you know, the amount of time we have left in the class and everything. I think I would advise you to like clean up your poses and steps, you know, like try to, I don't know if there's, you know, penetrations happening with Bluefoot and this box and all that. It kind of looks like there is. I would, you know, just clean up stuff, try to get all the poses as thought out and refined as possible before you go to spline. It'll make your life easier, I would predict. But, you know, I feel like you're entering into like your final stages of blocking, beginning stages of spline. Yeah, it looks really cool. And maybe do like a pass on the fingers, on the hands, and, you know, all those little details. But it's looking really strong. Again, I don't want to just be like a fountain of criticism and notes, because there's a lot of great stuff happening here. That's really fun to see it like overlaid over the reference. A small note and stuff too is just kind of that same idea of like pushing poses a little bit. Like this foot and this foot seem kind of tweened, so maybe you can rotate that one out just like a hair, so that we get a little, like, just a little variety in it. It's up to you, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like that might make for a slightly stronger pose. So it's just looking for ways to like plus these poses. Yeah, but great stuff. Sorry, I'll quit now. But thanks, Luis. Great stuff. I look forward to seeing your progress. All right, thanks.